surrounded by wrestling fans. Not sports entertainment fans. Professional wrestling fans! Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up! This is
the Wrestling Matters Podcast, a podcast that stands up for professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters. So join the revolution, because the revolution is now. Hey, start the show.
World, look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world. We are ICW and you're gonna know our name. Here we fucking go!
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up!
Yes! 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 Yes!
That's 13-14!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
Ladies, gentlemen, ICW Mafia wrestling fans all over the world, and whoever else is listening to this podcast, even kids too, if kids are listening to this, welcome. This podcast is not for you, but hey, if your parents give you permission to listen to the podcast, fair dues. But welcome to another installment of the ICW podcast, presented by me, that HEAD. That's right, Head Anthony Walker at your service, representing the Wrestling Matters podcast, held the Wrestling Matters brand, the Wrestling Matters, whatever the hell you want to call it, basically. But at the end of the day, this is a Wrestling Matters podcast production. So, or Wrestling Matters production, whatever you see fit. So welcome to another installment. On today's show, I will be reviewing Liu Kang Wins, which took place February 15th, 2015. Now, despite the fact this took place February 15th, I already reviewed this on the Wrestling Matters podcast. Well, parts of it anyway, because this was episode 1 and 2 of the Friday Night Fight Club. That's right, they branched this out to be episode 1 and 2 of the Friday Night Fight Club. So, I'm going to review the whole show from top to bottom. Not Friday Night Fight Club style, from top to bottom. Do your own jokes if you have any. So, it kicked off with the Zero G title match involving Kenny Williams as the champion defending against Noam Dar. Now, chain wrestling to start off, feeling out process, Dar gets a near fall. Chain wrestling again, Dar one step ahead of Kenny, even match so far. Dar getting a near fall, controlling the arm of Kenny, stretching Kenny too on the mat, really stretching him too. Dar very, can you say underrated technician? You know, I mean, many people probably don't give him credit, like, but he's a great technician nonetheless. Dar mocks John Cena, which has to do the you can't see me thing. Kenny fights back with forearms. Dar hits combos, then takes a knee to the face. Then Kenny takes a boot to his face and then hits the rebound clothesline on Dar. Dar hits a clothesline of his own, gets a near fall, then locks in the leg lock, and Kenny gets out of it. Both men are toe-to-toe in the ring. Dar low blows Kenny. Kenny low blows Dar after taking out the referee. All three men are on the floor with low blows and everything. Even match-ish. Dar gets the hoverboard, but decides not to use it, and Kenny gets a near fall, then hits the quad buster to get the win and retain. Great match between the both of them to kick off, and both men shake hands at the end. Before the next match, Grado comes out and is pissed and demands to know why Kid Fight joined James R. Kennedy's group that are now known as the 55. This is basically based off what happened at Square Go, because Kid turned on Grado at Square Go. I will be viewing that show at the later date, so look out for that. James, Tim and Kid Fight come out. Grado mocks James R. Kennedy. James does not like that. And the fact that Grado gets paid apparently the most money and calls him a dancing joke, announces the name of the group, which is the 55, which we already knew. Then out of nowhere, Kirby attacks Grado and the 55 put a beat down on Grado. More on them later on in the podcast. Now, after that, Nikki Storm goes one-on-one with Sami Zayn. This was before, I believe it was before Sami Zayn joined forces with Nikki Storm, because at one point they ended up joining forces. So Nikki takes the fight to Sami from the start and gets a near fall. Hits a DVD and gets a near fall. by Storm. Sammy kicks her off the top rope, then drop kicks her in the corner, does it again, then goes up top and hits a drop kick, then a neck breaker. Nikki gets outside, Sammy dives on her. Slingshot cutter, neck breaker, gets Sammy a near fall. Nikki gets a near fall, then gets drop kicked in the face. Sammy misses back elbow. Nikki hits a fisherman neck break and gets a near fall. Nikki hits the Stormbreaker and proves that she is larger than life and gets the victory. The Stormbreaker is where she gets it like in a suplex position, puts her on the top rope with her legs facing downward, with her facing downwards as if she's going to take a front bump. Can you call it a front bump? Like it was what actually was going to do a Ric Flair dive, we'll say, but rests her legs on the apron, gets her into that position and just swings about like a neck breaker kind of move. You know what it is if you've seen it before. And it proves that she is larger than life. And I still don't understand why TNA didn't use her, to be honest. I'll never understand that to this very day, because whether you like her, whether you find her annoying, whatever, she should at least got a chance at the boot camp. But anyway, not disrespecting Mandrews, Rampage Brown and Kaylee Ray, but, because them three were talented, but the final three should at least be in the final four, but hey. Polo Promotions backstage, DCT's feeling good, says he's going bear hunting. He will meet Demo. More on that later. And then the first match, or the main event of the first episode of, or what was the first episode of Friday Night Fight Club in this show, which saw Joe Hendry one-on-one with Mikey Whiplash. Right? Joe goes for a handshake, Whiplash kicks it away, the hand away. Feeling out process, chain wrestling Hendry with the advantage. Chain wrestling again, advantage Whiplash, working on the arm. Hendry takes Mikey over and gets a near fall. Now Hendry working on the arm to Whiplash, gets a headlock takedown on Hendry. Whiplash rear chokehold controlling Hendry on the mat. Whiplash working the arms, gets 2 near falls. Knee drop, Whiplash gets a near fall, working on the arm, rolls out, gets a near fall, and then hits a front face lock. Mikey trapping the leg. It is a wrestling match, ladies and gentlemen. Stalemate in the ring, face to face. Whiplash takes control. Toe to toe in the ring. Henry hits clothesline, gets a near fall. Rear chokehold countered into a deadlift suplex by Joe, gets him a near fall, which is Mikey had him in like a rear chokehold kind of move. Like if it was like a bear hug position, but he had him in like a chokehold position, and then basically out of nowhere, Joe counters it into a suplex kind of move from that position, which is incredible in its own right. 3 uppercuts gets Whiplash a near fall. A rebound clothesline counter into a DDT by Joe gets him a near fall. The fight goes outside. Whiplash throws Henry back to the win. In the ring, goes backstage, brings a screwdriver, looks to use it, but decides not to. Atomic drop, uppercut, then a top rope elbow, goes for the cover. Whiplash, a video plays, distracts Whiplash. Henry hits trip around the world, or trip around the globe for the win. Now you all know what the videos were playing, because it all started at the Square Go. The videos were playing every time Mikey was having a match and costing him the match. And if you saw Barramania, or go back to Barramania podcast, and you know who did it, because it ended up being BT Gunn. What for? I don't know. Now, I'll go on to the next match, which was the tag team titles, which saw Polo Promotions, Jackie Polo, Mark Coffey against the Bucky Boys, who are now defunct, which were Davey Boy and Stevie Boy. Excusez-moi. Jackie Distraction allows Polo Promotions to control Stevie Boy, tag in and out, basic tag team wrestling. Stevie Boy tags Davey Boy, fight back on, dropkick to Mark. Mark slows Davey down with a dead wish, gets a near fall. Mark gets another near fall after that as well. Toe to toe in the ring, Mark ends that and gets a near fall. Polo Promotions in control. Davey hits a clothesline, tags in Stevie Boy, fight back on for the Bucky Boys. Stevie gets standing, hits a standing shooting star press and gets a near fall. Mark flattens Stevie Boy with a clothesline, tags in Jackie. He hits power slams. Slam City bitch. Jackie hits a tilt-a-wall backbreaker. Jackie goes up top, misses a forearm. Davey tagged in. Bucky's hit 3D, hits dead, but Mark hits deadlift suplex on Davey Boy. Stevie hits it Insaguri. Jackie Polo then lifts, I believe it was Davey Boy. I'm not sure. Davey Boy or... No, Stevie Boy. I believe it was Stevie Boy. Polo lifts him up and then into a deadlift suplex, allows Polo Promotion to retain the ICW Tag Team titles. battles, they win. Jackie gloating on the mic. Joe backstage gets interrupted for a second by Grado, and Joe says the next move will be 2 weeks after that show, when he goes with Global Bollocks and joins forces with Kenny Williams to face the 55, which I believe, I'm not quite sure, was the Newcastle show, if I'm not mistaken. Again, look back on that. I might be wrong, but I believe that is the case for that. Like I say, I might be wrong. Hope you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be back right after this commercial with part 2, involving Dickie Divers and Tommy End, a rare appearance, an appearance by Joe Coffey, Damo versus DCT, and Grado and 55 in the main event. Who will be Grado's partners? Find out right after this. For new episodes of the Wrestling Matters podcast, as well as other great professional wrestling related content, be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel on YouTube at www.youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters. You'll get weekly episodes of the podcast, and you'll get other great wrestling content as well. Be sure to check it out, subscribe, like, and do all that good stuff. The Wrestling Matters channel, where wrestling matters, on YouTube.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kenny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shugs.
Yes! Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
If you're a fan of the Wrestling Matters podcast, be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters podcast Twitter page at WM Podcast for news, reviews, and upcoming episodes, and you will be let know on various other topics as well in the world of professional wrestling. So if you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, be sure to follow the Wrestling Matters podcast on Twitter at WM Podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. They say this is wrestling, but ladies and gentlemen, this is Progress Wrestling. And on July the 1st, Progress Wrestling comes to the Wrestling Matters podcast. That's right, Wednesday, July the 1st, I will present a podcast on Progress Wrestling, starting with Chapter 1, and from every week onwards, I will bring you every single show from that. ProgressWrestling.com, Progress Wrestling on demand service. Progress Wrestling comes to the Wrestling Matters podcast, July the 1st, only on SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, and OSW TV. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out the Wrestling Matters podcast Facebook fan page at www.facebook.com/WM podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, everyone, to the ICW podcast presented by the Wrestling Matters. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. And yeah, guys, you heard that in the commercials there. Be sure to check it out. July the 1st, I will present a podcast all about Progress Wrestling. I will be reviewing Chapter 1, and it all starts July 1st, so be sure to check that out and look out for that as well. Now we get back to part 2 of this show, which was Liu Kang Wins, which took place February 15th, 2015. Right before, a couple of weeks before Barramania. Maybe 4 weeks actually, but anyway. Part 2, we'll kick off with Dickie Divers one-on-one with Tommy End. Now, Tommy End starts by throwing a kick and then wrestles Divers. Divers throws a forearm which knocks End right on his backside, knocks him clean out. Rocked him even. Divers cuts a turnbuckle pad off. Both men avoiding the turnbuckle pad. Divers misses a moonsault and gets a near fall. Advantage End throwing kicks and gets a near fall. Pouncing bro kick from the outside and gets a near fall. End in total control. Jumping bulldog by Divers gets him a near fall. End gets a near fall. Divers ducks a kick, then goes for a figure 4 leg lock, locks it on, but End gets a rope break. Double stop, End gets a near fall. Lots of counters. Divers hits a kick to the chest and gets a near fall. Okay. Advantage divers, N hits combos, then a kick to the face, gets a near fall. Goes up top, misses the stomp. Divers hits an Itaguri. Tommy N's head bounces off the exposed turnbuckle. Divers rolls him up and gets the victory. A win for Nicky Divers. Now, remember, this was well before Barramania. Saqib Ali comes out for a match. Talks not a clue what the hell he was saying. Mocks Dundee, runs his mouth, then a belt comes flying in the ring, and out comes, out of the crowd, Joe Coffey. Joe takes the mic from Ali, says it's business, not personal, allows Ali to leave, but Ali attacks Coffey. Coffey fights back, throws Ali around, hits 2 Hulk busters, and then a German suplex, puts on his weightlifting belt, and then hits the deadlift suplex on Ali, basically just toying with him. Then he proceeds to cut a promo calling out Drew Galloway, building up to his match, which was at Barramania, saying he did things his way, that's Joe Coffey doing things his way. ICW didn't help him. He's a self-made man, and when he broke into the business, it was all about respect. Did not like the fact that he wasn't on the card that evening. Called out called out Red Lightning out, and called him out for making him change in a different area. A very frustrating promo leading into his big match with Drew Galloway at Barramania. Now, like I said, where you can see all this is on the ICW On Demand service, $3.74 a month. The next match after that was Demo against DCT. Demo comes out, takes the fight to DCT from the bell, then he catches DCT in midair, DCT counters, DCT ends up hitting the DVD, rocks Demo, then gets a near fall. DCT hits a fist drop, Demo gets up, clotheslines DCT, puts a beat down on him in the corner, then puts DCT on his shoulders, and then does like a slam move, which DCT's on his shoulders, grabs him by the head, and then does it like if Sabin was doing the cradle shot, drops it forward like that, and then slams him in and beats him. And then after that, he just beats up, he brings a chair into it, uses it on DCT, hits coach trip with it, then back on DCT. DCT takes the Dominator, or the Demonator, and he hits the security guards and just beats the hell out of DCT as well. Who can stop Demo? Demo backstage says 2015 will be his year, and he wants the ICW title. Well, he gets his ICW title shot in July at Shug's Hoose Party. So looking forward to that, and I'll be reviewing that as well very, very soon. Make sure you listen to that. Well, listen out for that on the podcast. Now for the main event, who were going to be Grado's tag team partners going into this match. There was a 6-man tag, Grado and 2 mystery partners against the 55, which were Kid Fight, Martin Kirby and Tim Wiley. Now, Tim and Martin, well, as Grado came out, everybody was waiting to see who his partners were, and then out stepped Noam Dar. Noam Dar comes out, and then obviously there's no third man. So out from the crowd, Tim and Martin jump Dar and Grado to start the match. Advantage 55. Grado and Dar fight back. Double team Kirby. Grado, Dar double team chokeslam Kirby, then try it on Tim. Tim just clotheslines them both. Kid Fight in and in control of Grado. 55 double teaming Grado. Wiley suplexes Grado. Numbers game with the 55 also. 55 picking apart Grado. Numbers game with the 55 triple team Grado. While referee tries to get Noam Dar out the ring. Wiley weighing Grado down. Slammed, leg drop and gets a near fall. Kid controlling Grado, advantage 55. Kid 1 step ahead, Kid Fight. 1 step ahead, elbow on Grado, gets a near fall. Kirby takes a wee boot. Grado goes to tag Dar. Wiley stops that. Then Wiley takes a rock bottom. Then a music hits. Out comes Wolfgang. He evens things up and takes the fight to Kid Fight and the 55. Wolfgang backdrops Kirby, slams Wiley, then hits the slam dunk on Kirby. Then Grado hits a cannonball, rolling slice, on Kirby. Then Wolfgang goes up top. Kid shoves Wolfgang off the top. 55 tie up Wolfgang with a tape in the ropes. Kid chokes Grado with the chain. Grado gets fired up, fights the 55, but from behind Kennedy hits Grado with a pipe, and Kid Fight gets the win for the 55. The post-match beatdown on Dar and Grado. Kid Fight hits Grado in the pipe with the leg. The 55 stand tall, and Wolfgang is left helpless, not being able to do anything about it, and he can't do that much about it, especially when you're tied up in the ropes. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was about it. That's about it for the review. I will give that 4 out of 5 for that one, because that was actually a pretty good show and a good way to start off the new concept of Friday Night Fight Club. And there you have it. That's it for the ICW podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you've enjoyed this. My name is Anthony Walker, bringing you only the best on the Wrestling Madness podcast. Hope you've enjoyed it. Continue to show your support at WN Podcast on Twitter, facebook.com/WN Podcast on Facebook. Hit the likes. I am so close to getting 500 likes. If you can get me over that, I will be greatly, gratefully grateful for all of it. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, until next time here on the ICW podcast, next week I review the second show, which were episodes 3 and 4 of the Friday Night Fight Club. I'll review that next week, but until then, my name is Anthony Walker. Thank you so much for listening. Peace out.
Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up! Yes! 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 That's 13-14!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.